Hi, I'm Laura Jacob, registered dietitian at Christie Clinic, and I'm here at Common Ground Kitchen talking today about Illinois specialty crops. So today I'm going to talk about cabbage. I'm going to talk about preparing, storing, selecting, and making a recipe for cabbage. Over here we have a head of, there's different types of cabbage. You have green, or some people call it white cabbage head. There's purple or red cabbage, and there's also Napa or Chinese cabbage. So when you select them, you want to choose one that is kind of heavy and compact, kind of heavier than you would expect it to be. So both of these are kind of like that. It's really high in fiber, vitamins and minerals, and antioxidants. So it's really nutritious and low in calories. So it's a really good thing to choose. When you bring it home, put it in your refrigerator, you want to leave it with, if you're not going to use it right away, leave the outer leaves on and put it in your crisper drawer. It'll last 2 to 3 months that way. It'll last a little longer if it's wrapped in plastic and you put it in your crisper drawer. So that's a really nice long storage vegetable. So that kind of decreases your waste. If you cut up your cabbage and you have some left over from your recipe, you can actually, and you're not going to use it for a while, you can freeze it. It's going to be a little softer when you use it when it's frozen, so it might go better into soup or something like that. But once so you've got some pieces, right? So I have some cut up cabbage here already, green cabbage. You want to blanch it before you freeze it, because there's some enzymes in there which can cause some problems with taste and texture. So blanching, you want to just have some boiling water ready to go, and then it can be shredded or cut up into chunks, or you can actually blanch the leaves as well. And those are kind of nice for making stuffed cabbage. So here I'm going to just kind of dump it into the hot water. Blanching is a really quick cooking process where you just, cabbage takes about 1.5 minutes to blanch. So you want to wait about 1.5 minutes, and then once that time is up, we're going to plunge it into an ice water bath, and that stops the cooking quickly, and then it'll look nice and bright green once it goes through that process. And then you want to drain it really well and let it dry a little bit, and put it into a container with a nice tight fitting lid in the refrigerator. And that should last for several months that way. So that's good storage. Other options, I'm going to give that about another minute. Other options for storing cabbage are pickling or making it into like a sauerkraut, so fermenting it. Those are some good ways to kind of extend the life of your cabbage and have less food waste. Some preparation methods: you can eat it fresh, raw, as in coleslaw, or a nice way to use it differently than coleslaw is what we're all typically used to, is maybe using it as a replacement for shredded cabbage on tacos or something like that. Is very tasty. You can steam the leaves and use them for wraps or stuffed cabbage. You can stir fry. Stir frying is my favorite method of using cabbage. So it goes well with a lot of different types of vegetables: carrots, peppers, pretty much anything you have in your refrigerator. Our cabbage is ready to plunge into the ice water bath now. I've done it for about 1.5 minutes to blanch it, and it's ready to go in the ice water bath. So first I'm going to drain it. Come back here. And then it goes into the ice water bath. And that will stop the cooking, and that'll ensure that the enzymes, so we've ensured that the enzymes in the cabbage are kind of killed so that it keeps a decent texture. And then it just needs to cool just a little bit, and then drain it again, let it dry pretty thoroughly, and then put it in your freezer container with a tight fitting lid. So we're ready to make our cabbage and kielbasa recipe. So we've got a head of cabbage cut up here. I like to make it kind of cube it up. That makes a nice bite. And then we're gonna cut up half of a large onion. And I'm just gonna, however you like to do it, what type of dice or slice you like to do. I happen to like my onions a little bit longer, like that. So we have our half an onion. We also have 1 Granny Smith apple that I've cored and peeled and sliced. So this particular recipe has kind of a German flair, kind of a sour bite to it, which is really nice. So I'm going to put in either a teaspoon of olive oil or canola oil. Got our pan heating up here. It's ready to go. I've got a pound of kielbasa cut into 1-inch slices. I actually like to use turkey kielbasa because it's much lower in fat and calories than the standard variety, but any kind of kielbasa or smoked sausage can work with this. So we're just gonna cook that until it gets brown. So that's kind of brown. And then we're gonna use some apple juice or apple cider. And it's about 1.5 cups for the whole recipe, but we're gonna start with 1/2 cup. And just put that in there, and then kind of scrape the pan and get those little bits kind of worked in and off of the bottom of the pan. And then we're gonna throw in the half large onion and get that cooking. Until that's softened up a little bit. You can use olive oil, you can use canola oil. Really, canola oil is the more budget-friendly variety and has a pretty neutral flavor, and it actually has a lot of heart-healthy fats in it. Like the omega-3 fats, has a really good ratio of those compared to regular vegetable oil. But olive oil obviously is heart healthy as well. It takes a little while to get the onions softened up. I used to eat a lot of sauerkraut and smoked sausage as a kid, so this really reminds me of something I grew up eating. So our onions are softened up now, and we got a lot of nice juice going there. So now we're gonna put in the cabbage, the apple, some black pepper, and a pinch of caraway seeds. You don't want to go too heavy on the caraway seeds because they do have a super strong flavor and they can kind of take over. In fact, you don't have to put them in there if you don't like the taste of caraway, but it does give it a really nice kind of that more German flavor. So here we go with our cabbage. We'll put that in there. That looks like a good amount, but actually cabbage really shrinks down when you cook it. So, you know, if you've got a lot of people to serve and you've got a nice big pan, go ahead and put more cabbage in there. And then, so we've got our cabbage, we've got our sliced Granny Smith apple, which is nice and sour. Put some ground black pepper in there. A pinch of salt. Our sausage has some salt in it, so you don't need to go super heavy on the salt. And here's some caraway seeds. So you want to put those, kind of sprinkle a pinch or two of those in there. And then you really just cook it about another 15 to 20 minutes until the cabbage and the apples are softened up. We actually need a little more apple juice. This is the rest of our apple juice, so we put in 1/2 cup. And this is the rest of the 1 more cup of apple juice. That'll also contribute to that nice sour flavor. And then you just cook it till it's tender. So as a nice side item to go with our kielbasa and cabbage, we could do roasted potatoes. to kind of round out the meal. And it's also a nice budget-friendly side dish. So really all you do is just whatever kind of potatoes you like. These are russet potatoes. I happen to like the Yukon Gold potatoes, or the golden yellow potatoes are nice and moist and tasty. Then just cut them into wedges, approximately the same size so they all get done at the same time. And then you can either just drizzle them with olive or canola oil, or spray is kind of nice too, to kind of limit like the total amount of fat you're adding. It can kind of help you save on some of those fat calories. And then we'll do a little bit of black pepper. You could do parsley if you wanted to, or some other kind of herb. Oregano or rosemary is kind of nice on roasted potatoes. A little bit of salt, not too much. It's not so good for the blood pressure. So, and then roast them in 375, 400 degree oven, and until they're tender. So our cabbage is nice and tender, but not too mushy. Our apples are softened up, so it's all ready to go and ready to eat. So just, there you go. It's ready to enjoy. I'm Laura Jacob, registered dietitian at Christie Clinic. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.